Hi all, welcome to Techies Knowledge, and today we will discuss what is shallow copy and deep copy means. Okay, and before that we will check what is the reference here and all, what is the how we can check that reference ID, right, whenever we create the variable and all. Okay, let's create a variable here, x equal to 10. Okay, what is happening here when we do when we create like this? So the here the value integer object, actually here the 10 is the integer object, and in Python everything we will consider as a object, right? So whenever we create a variable like this, it is creating a um, it will allocate a memory, okay, for this object 10, and it will create a reference ID for that, and that reference uh, is is assigned to the variable x. Okay, so here the okay, so whenever we want to see what is the reference ID is assigned to this object, then we have a built-in function which is the ID. Okay, this ID will help uh, to find the reference ID. Okay, that reference, this object is assigned, right, whatever the memory is created for this variable, this object. Okay, and that reference we are assigning to the x variable, okay, or attribute. So whenever we want to see that reference ID, then we have to give the variable which variable we assign the reference ID. Okay, so here we are given the variable is the x. Okay, so let's run. So this is the right reference ID for this object, and that reference ID you can see it by using the ID function and then call that variable. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, and if let's take a list. Okay, in the same way we are taking a list. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, and even let's assume we have some nested list. Okay, we have a nested list here, right? Let's take a list, and if we want to create another list 2 from list 1. Okay, then if we do this way, right, here what we are doing, list 1. Okay, let's take this list 1. We are assigning list 1 to list 2. So based on this equality means assigning operator, right, so we are trying to create a new list here and see. So here we can see that list 2 is created, and then the same values what are there in the list 1, it is assigned to the list 2 also. But let's see what is the ID, means what is the reference is created for the both the list. Okay, means what is the memory it is using, and right, for that memory or object what is the reference ID it is created. Okay, so here for list 2 is the reference ID is this one, and print the same for list 1 also. See here, it is reference is showing the same for both the list. Okay, it is pointed to the same only. Okay, it is not created a new reference and then created the new list here, because this function whatever we are doing this assigning, right, it will not create a uh, new reference, or it will not assign the new memory for that, because we are giving the same object here. So if we are giving the same object means it will refer to the same memory location. Okay, and that's why here the reference ID also is the same here. And if we try to modify list 2. Okay, list 2, I am trying to modify, here is the, okay, let's modify this one, 0 1 2. Okay, on the third element, and on third element, and I want to change the first. Okay, so 0th index I am assigning the some fifth value here. Okay, and let's print the both list 1 and list 2. Okay, see here, it is modifying in the original list also, right, because it is pointing to the same reference. if we modify the new list also, it will impact the source list or source object. Okay, so that is the drawback here. If we create any new list by assigning the if we use the equal symbol, okay, and create a new list from the existing list, then whenever we modify the new list, it will impact the old list also, because the reference is the same for both the list. Okay, so how we can avoid this one, right? How we can avoid this one without impacting the original list? How we can create a new list from existing list? Okay, right? And if we modify the new list, and it should not impact the source list. Okay, source list or object or anything. Okay, but just we need to make sure it should not impact the original object. Okay, so for that we have a concept, shallow copy, right? Which here we need to import the copy module. We need to import the copy module and create a list here. And okay, we are trying to create a new list, okay, by using the copy dot copy. Okay, from copy module we have a copy function here, and this is the shallow copy. Okay, whenever we use copy dot copy, then this is a shallow copy. Okay, what exactly shallow copy we will discuss. Okay, from list 1 we are trying to create a list 2 from list 1. Okay, for that we are using the copy module. Okay, here, and when we do this way, let's print the both the IDs. Okay, list 1 and list 2. Okay, see here, if you see, these references are now is a different, right? Because we are using the different module now, we are not using the assignment directly, uh, but now it, if we see this way, the reference is different, it is showing. But if you see the nested element reference ID, okay, what is there? Let's see nested, how we can see the nested list reference ID. Okay, the index, right? 0 1 2, third index. Okay, on third index, first element we will see. Okay, first 0. Okay, 0. So see here, if you observe, if we are doing the nested list reference ID for, then it is showing the same reference, right? It is showing the same reference ID. And okay, let's try to modify the nested new list nested element. Okay, list 2. Okay, third index, right? Nested list is there, and in the nested list, on the first element we are trying to modify and giving the new value as a 5. Okay, and then print. Okay, again okay, and let's print the even without ID, let's print the both the list. What is happening? It's changing anything in the existing list. Okay, okay, so what we are doing, we created here, we are using the copy module, and to avoid the right, to create the new reference, and which without impacting the original list values, we are trying to do. Okay, how we can do that? In that, shallow copy is a one way is there. So when we create a new list using the shallow copy, okay, and id is showing the for nested list it is showing the same. But if we check the complete list ID, then reference is the same, different for the original list and the new list which we created using the shallow copy. But we are trying to change the nested list, okay, value in the new list. We are not changing in the original list, and then expecting it should not impact the original list right? Nested original list, nested list element reference id should not be impacted, or element should not be impacted, or that object should not be impacted. Okay, that's what our expectation. Okay, so and we are trying to print that both the list and then checking again what is the reference id after changing the value. Okay, and then checking the id for both the from both the list. Okay, so here what is happening, when we see the before changing any element, nested list value reference is the same, right? And we are trying to modify list to nested list element. Okay, then it is impacting the even original list also, right? Which is the same as happened if we use the equal operator to assign, we by assigning the original list to the another list, and then we created a right new list. So same way the functionality is still the same, because even if we use the shallow copy also, whenever we modify the nested list elements, then it is impacting the original list values. Okay, the objects, right? So here the even reference id is the same. So instead of doing the changing nested list, if we try to modify only the normal values from the original list, okay, and then see what is happening. Okay, and print the both the list. See, okay, see here it's not impacted the original list. Okay, it is not impacted the original list. This is the shallow copy only. Okay, shallow copy, it can create the new reference id for both the list, and for normal listed elements it will work as a different only. It will create the new reference and then assign the memory and assign the new reference id. Okay, but if we change the nested list elements, then it is impacting our original list. Okay, right? So here whenever we change the nested list value, then it is impacting the even both the list, it is impacting the both the list values, and then reference is the same. So to avoid this, so see here what is happened, when we use the equal operator, and if we change any value in the list, okay, in the new list, it will impact the original list. In shallow copy, if we change the values except the nested list values, then it will not impact the nested list. Okay, so how we can take care of even nested list also should not impact. If we modify the any value in the nested list also, it should not impact the original list. Okay, for that we have a deep copy. Okay, the topic is deep copy. Even in the copy module itself we have a deep copy. Okay, we are creating now okay, copy dot deep copy. Okay, and from list 1 we are creating a list 2 using the deep copy. Okay, here we tried the shallow copy and then created, and let's print the id of list 1, print id of list 2. So here what should be different. Okay, so here the value is different, right? The reference is different. But if we see the nested list, what is the reference id? Is it still the same, or it is created, then it's creating the new reference for that even nested list or not, right? See here, but it is showing now is the same only, but we will try to modify it and then see it what exactly is happening. Okay, now let's modify the new list of, okay, first we will modify the okay, second element, and then see what is happening. Print both the list 1, print both the list 2. See here it's not impacted the original list. If we modify normal elements, it's not impacting the original list. Even it was the same with the shallow copy also. If we change normal elements other than nested list elements, then it was the same. Okay, now modify the nested list values, okay, which we were not able to right do with the shallow copy. Now modify the shallow copy values and then see it's impacting the these changes is happening in the original list also or not. Alright, so see here original list is same and it's changing only in the new list only. And now see the reference, what is the reference id, it is there. See the now reference id, it is a different, right? It's not pointing to the same, because in deep copy it will take the values and it will iterate the values and all in, then it will create the new list. But in the shallow copy it will point, but nested list is the problem. Whenever we modify the values in the nested list, then it is impacting the in the original list as well, because it's pointing to the same reference. Okay, so here the three levels we checked. One, if we use this equal operator and then create the list, means whatever the value we change in the new list, right, not only nested or normal list value, it is impacting the both. And shallow copy if we do, okay, shallow copy if we do, it's not impacting the normal list elements. Only if we modify the nested list value, then it is impacting the both original list and right, new list. And if we use the deep copy, okay, deep copy, then it will not impact the original list, it will only do the changes in the new list. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, so three layers. Equal, if we use the operator here, okay, assignment operator or equal, whatever it is. So if we use the equal operator and then create the new list, it will impact whatever we modify the value in the original new list, it will impact the original list. Shallow copy, it will impact only when we modify the changes in the nested list, then it will impact the original list. Okay, and deep copy, it will not impact anything in the original list, it will do the modifications only in the new list. Okay, that's a difference. Okay, so if we don't have any nested list, then we can directly use the shallow copy and then it will not impact the even original list also if we modify the newly created list from right, newly created list. So that's the difference. What when we, right, if we want to clone, this is basically when we you want to clone the existing object, and then but it should not impact the original one. But if still if you want to clone the existing object and then you want to make use of your own, then you can think about these three concepts. Okay, when you use the equal operator where it will impact, and when you use the shallow copy, okay, and use a deep copy where and all it will impact. Okay, this is basically when you want to clone the object, existing object, and you want to use or do the changes on your own, right? So then you need to take care of these things, right? And that's it for today, and that's a topic of shallow copy and deep copy and differences. And thank you guys for watching, and if you are not subscribed to Techies Knowledge, please do subscribe, and we'll keep discussing about the interesting topics. Thank you guys.